clever way to solve your problems.
What if I told you there is still another villain lurking around after the events of Tears of the Kingdom? I believe there is a true evil mastermind behind Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom who set the events of the plots in motion, because all plot events, including Ganondorf's revival, can be linked back to the mysterious fortune teller hidden in Breath of the Wild's lore. This supposedly evil fortune teller warned King Rome of the threat Calamity Ganon and told the king to recover and excavate the Sheikah technology and divine beasts. The Calamity was prepared for this plan and used its power to take over the Sheikah technology and turned Hyrule's weapons against its people, like Order 66 from Star Wars. Now, most of you know that, but did you know after the champions and the royal family fell, Calamity Ganon rested in a cocoon and tried to grow into a new and complete form? Link, 100 years later, confronted this evil and forced it out of its cocoon. Link then killed this being. But did you really also know that because Calamity Ganon's rise and attack weakened Hyrule Castle, that weakened Raru's seal on Ganondorf, which led to gloom being synthesized and then released into Hyrule? This then led Link and Zelda to find Ganondorf underground and start the plot of Tears of the Kingdom. You see, the plots for both games are chain events, and we could connect the dots going backwards. In an alternate timeline through Age of Calamity, Calamity Ganon still rises to power and attacks Hyrule Castle regardless, even if it is defeated immediately after, unlike Breath of the Wild. To me, this sounds like a master plan, and whatever this plan is, it makes me wonder who must have had knowledge of this plan and led it and execute it. Could this be expanded on in a Breath of the Wild 3 or Age of Calamity sequel, which I made theories about already? Well, let's dive deep into this mystery, deep dive, and let's see what we can figure out. To start, it's clear that this theorized mastermind secret villain must be a servant of Ganon, alluding to the common belief that the unnamed fortune teller manipulated King Rome so that Calamity Ganon can utilize the Sheikah technology against Hyrule. Naturally, this brings up a few questions I'll have to answer and break down. First, who is this fortune teller? How do I know he is a follower or she is a follower of Ganon? Second, where did he or she come from? Or are there multiple people involved? Third, what is the grand plan this person or group of people had, and does it go beyond the wild tier games? Well, throughout Zelda's history, there is usually a hidden servant of Ganon or other evil beings, and in most cases, this servant is closely associated with the royal family and might even have some sort of political or seemingly loyal position to the royal family. Just from this fact alone, I believe it is intended for a servant of Ganon to exist within the Wild Tier saga, though this servant could potentially be the greatest one in series history. I would like to bring forth Aghanim, a talented magician and sorcerer from Zelda: A Link to the Past. No, I'm not saying it's him, but I just wanted to bring up Aghanim to kind of show what we're working with here. Aghanim had a master plan to revive Ganon in that game, using 7 maidens to break the seal on the Sacred Realm, bringing Ganon from his seal. Thanks to the lore from the instruction manual in Hyrule Historia, we can discover that Aghanim can be defined as an alter ego to Ganon, meaning that he can essentially be a part of Ganon, or at least some sort of partial host, until the true Ganon takes shape. Even with his defeat, it doesn't affect the true Ganon source. As Aghanim being a host, I'm sure at some point he must have had some sort of divine communication from Ganon. See, that's the key in the master plans of Ganon and his followers: communication. But it doesn't end there, guys. Even with the other servants of Ganon or iterations of Demise, such as Zant, Girahim, or moreover, Kotake and Kuume, more on them soon, it's true that these followers risk their lives absolutely for their master's success, which brings a slight turn to the conversation to be had with the elephant in the room, Astor from Age of Calamity. Many of you might easily assume that this Prophet of Doom is the mastermind that I'm speaking of. Well, regardless of whether it's him or not, it's actually not that simple at all. Let me give you an overview and some insight on Astor. He is known as a prophet or a seer, meaning he's known to have some sort of information about the future. Coming from Age of Calamity, this guy is the clear main villain overall, at least until Calamity Ganon takes on a true form. According to the game's character description, Astor comes from a quote, certain village that we of course are not aware of. Not even Tears of the Kingdom goes further into this. So we don't know where he's from, however we do see other people from his tribe that wear similar clothes to him, and they all praise Calamity Ganon's possession over the Terrico robot of that time as it displays malice for everyone to see. Though in this moment Astor's tribe is consumed by this possessed robot, and it becomes Harbinger Ganon. It chooses Astor to lead the spread of malice in monsters, and even for him to lead the Yiga clan, the tribe of Sheikah defectors. He uses this interesting floating mechanical orb of malice to pretty much control malice. Remember, these events in Age of Calamity are within a different timeline. Astor sees the bad future of Hyrule's fall in Breath of the Wild, because the Breath of the Wild era malice followed Terrico into the past when the split timeline was created, or at least when Terrico opened the time portal. Thus, this malice is able to carry information from a whole other time period and communicate it to Astor and the Calamity Ganon of this different timeline. So it's clear that Astor is a servant, can claim to see the future, and led Ganon's forces in some sort of way. However, he isn't an alter ego, nor subjects himself to Ganon like how Aghanim does or how Yuga from A Link Between Worlds does, because he morphs with Ganon, or even Girahim with Demise in Skyward Sword. Astor then meets his demise, no pun intended, by trying to fully control and order Calamity Ganon. Of course, Astor is a pawn in Ganon's plan and is consumed by the Harbinger, adding Astor's body and power to Ganon's. Astor also isn't happy about fulfilling his purpose. Compared to Girahim in Skyward Sword. So, Astor seems to have intentions to rule himself, and isn't devoted to the extent of Aghanim, Yuga, or Girahim. This is where things get interesting considering the true motives behind Tears of the Kingdom Ganondorf. Astor might worship and utilize Ganon, but that doesn't mean he has his own intentions to rule, and isn't really okay with giving his soul to Ganon's plan. Though regardless of Astor's loyalty level to Ganon, he could still be this mastermind, for a couple of reasons. Apparently, the prophecy includes him. Within his Hyrule Castle boss fight, he says his triumph was writ long ago. Look at this. This quote always stood out to me since I first saw it in the game. So could his role in Calamity Ganon's revival be planned? Let's also not forget that while we saw Astor get consumed in the Age of Calamity timeline, we don't hear or see anything of him in the Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom timeline. Interesting. Did time travel interfere with Astor's fate? Either way, we'll have to see if Astor's motives align with the philosophy of the true source of all of it, Ganondorf, the Demon King.
Regardless, I will reshape this world as it was meant to be. I will crush any opposition. I will rule. That is what a king must do.
If there's anything we know about the deepness of Ganondorf's character, it's that he prefers how things were in the past. Wind Waker Ganondorf wished to bring back the old Hyrule, and though he was evil, his goals were more honest here, as he admits to coveting what Hyrule had. Tears of the Kingdom Ganondorf takes living in the past quite further by arguing that things were better before organized peace, in the times of primitive wars, chaos, and constant conquering. Ganondorf's philosophy was to rule a world without peace-loving cowards and utilize maximum strength against any form of opposition. This Ganondorf truly believed and convinced his followers that this is the way the world was meant to be ruled, through pride and violent subjugation. This doesn't make Ganondorf a mindless, primitive beast either. He remains intelligent, cunning, and one step ahead. This is why he despises King Rauru. saying he took the power of the Secret Stone for granted. As we know, a Secret Stone amplifies the abilities and will of the user, but it also amplifies their desires. For Ganondorf, his literal desires and viewpoints become tangible energy, creating monsters and emanating the miasma that we know as gloom and then malice after multiple millennia. In the Hyrule Castle climax, Ganondorf imparts knowledge onto the current sages and Link of how the world was and should look, with Ganondorf riding on a horse, leading destruction with the whole army behind him. Ganondorf believes that anyone who uses great power, like that of a secret stone, for the greater good and preserving peace is a fool and does not deserve it. It's as if it's the antithesis to great power, great responsibility. Ganondorf sees himself as a greater king than Rauru because of his own definition. Now, what I would like to theorize is that Ganondorf's beliefs and ideals really became tangible and almost fully sentient, so that while being sealed, he and his followers may utilize the power of gloom and malice to help revive him over time. As if Tears of the Kingdom Ganondorf created his own demise curse cycle within Demise's curse cycle. Going deeper into this concept can branch off into its own video, which, by the way, Quest with Aaron made a really good video on this topic. I'll link to it in the description. Anyway, going back to this great mastermind and their plan to destroy Hyrule, it seems that reviving Ganondorf, or in essence like him, Calamity Ganon for example, probably required planning, rituals, evil prophecies, and dark communication for tens of thousands of years. So now this topic moves into not just who this mastermind harbinger is, but rather who are this person's people, who held on to Ganondorf's teachings and such for so long. I think once we nail down this tribe or group of people, it's easier to point out the suspect, their plan, and the future of them. The best tribe that followed Tears of the Kingdom Ganondorf is, well, the group of people that followed him. A faction of Gerudo under Ganondorf's leadership accompanied him in launching his initial attack on Hyrule's gate. And more importantly, they accompanied him in Rauru's throne room, as Ganondorf falsely pledges allegiance to Hyrule. These are the people that would dedicate themselves to Ganondorf's goals and philosophies, even likely after Rauru's seal. Thanks to the Zelda community, I've discovered that Kotake and Kuume are written in Hylian on these two Gerudo women kneeling behind Ganondorf in Rauru's throne room. I also believe these lines were said by them.
That blast wiped out all the Molduga! How is that possible?
While this sounds like a simple answer, Kotake, Kuume, and Ganondorf's Gerudo followers aren't found anywhere in Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, or even Age of Calamity. So, what happened here? Would they evolve into the Yiga? No, because the Yiga off-branched from the Sheikah when their technology was banished by the king 10,000 years before the events of Breath of the Wild, and that is significantly after Rauru's seal in Tears of the Kingdom's past. Koga does mention Ganondorf's name, but I think he got that from another source. So who the heck is left? Can this theory really go on? Yes, it can, thanks to Age of Calamity. I believe Ganondorf's followers evolved. You see, over time, groups of people and tribes evolve, even their beliefs and physical appearance. The Zelda series is no stranger to this. It actually utilized that concept a lot. Ganondorf's philosophy was that the strongest must rule over everything through chaos and combat, whether it's him or not, or even another version of him. Enter the Calamity, a being that constantly wished to be reborn in a new body and grew from Ganon's hatred and tangible desire. Since we know servants of Ganon can communicate with him while he's sealed, since it's been done in other games and it's been done through projections of malice, it's possible that new goals and backup plans would have to be adjusted and organized to ensure Ganon's victory overall, whether it's through Tears of the Kingdom Ganondorf or a new body. So who was this information communicated to through the malice? It was Astor and his tribe in Age of Calamity. I believe Ganondorf's followers became Astor's tribe of evil prophets over time, and their goal transitioned from Ganondorf's revival to Calamity Ganon's great rebirth. Why? The Gerudo symbol is on Astor's back, on his robes. Even though we never see Astor acknowledge a Gerudo connection, he must have gotten his clothes from somewhere. He is a descendant of Ganondorf's followers and was prophesized. But I'm still not done yet. There is more to why I'm even discussing this theory. I even made it seem like it might not be Astor. Well, let's see what this means for the future. There are two things we need to remember. One, we saw Astor and his tribe die in Age of Calamity, as well as the Yiga becoming good, but that continuity is a separate timeline from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. 2. Zelda remains as a monarch who wishes for eternal peace after Tears of the Kingdom. From these facts alone, Ganondorf's desires and philosophies still need to be applied from his followers. Even though he's dead, Ganondorf taught that the strongest should rule through combat and chaos. No peace-loving cowards. Even when he was sealed, the backup plan was to find a new body or a new form that could bring him or his desires back in a multitude of ways. Even though we can theorize Astor to be Breath of the Wild's mysterious fortune teller, it could be possible that Astor or someone else from his tribe received constant communication from Malice in Breath of the Wild's timeline, and Ganondorf's plan was more detailed and thought out than anything of what Link, Zelda, and us, the players, could immediately think of. What if Ganondorf's plan was interpreted and adjusted by his followers to have back-to-back attacks in the greatest effort in the entire series to destroy Hyrule? Knowing that Raru's seal was fading soon, the plan was to launch an attack on Hyrule Castle that would 1. Weaken the seal on Ganondorf, which it did, 2. Empower the Calamity through banished Sheikah technology, 3. Attempt to grow a new form of Ganondorf's consciousness if he couldn't awaken in time, and 4. If the Calamity in his new form fails, launch Gloom onto Hyrule while they are recovering from the battle with the Great Calamity, and then Ganondorf's original form should have awakened by that point. Irregardless of mentioned timelines, this plan applies to both Age of Calamity and Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom, which is why I think we could get a Hyrule Warriors sequel to Age of Calamity. Yes, I just made a big theory video on why that could happen, links all around, but I'm still not done. There are bigger implications, my fellow audience. Even though this back-to-back attack on Hyrule failed with the Calamity and Ganondorf's revival, the Yiga are still bad in the Breath of the Wild timeline. Koga escaped the deaths after Tears of the Kingdom after fighting him for the 4th or 5th time, and once again, we have not seen Astor and his tribe yet in Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom. I even made an old theory before Tears of the Kingdom came out on why Suga from Age of Calamity is still lurking around in the main Breath of the Wild timeline as a secret villain. And yes, people can live over 100+ years in Zelda games nowadays. So, what if the remains of Ganondorf's teachings and legacy brings us to Breath of the Wild 3? And no, it doesn't have to take place in the same Hyrule. I know what you guys are going to say. I know there's interviews with Aonuma and Fujibayashi that make this unlikely. But when have developer interviews actually pointed to future game projects? And let's just entertain this idea, why not? So, with Zelda dedicating herself to the goal of eternal peace after Tears of the Kingdom, villains still exist. Astor, his tribe, Koga, Bad Yiga, as well as Ganondorf's plans and ideals. What if Astor or a new leader from his tribe are found in a land across the desert? They try to send Yiga and other villains to assassinate Zelda, like how they might have done with Zelda's mother, who we theorized that she was assassinated, or at least I have. So what if this tribe emerges as the ones who assassinated Zelda's mother, and their base is found across the desert in a new land? There would be hesitation with leaving Hyrule, but Zelda and the sages would stay to defend it, while Link leaves and follows the trail to finish off these remaining followers of Ganondorf. This journey takes Link across the Gerudo Desert to a new land filled with secrets and surprises, maybe even the land that Yona, Sidon's wife, came from. I'm telling you guys, the possibilities of a Breath of the Wild 3 and or Age of Calamity sequel are likely. this could be the end of the trilogy of Breath of the Wild, or even start a new continuity with future Links and Zeldas dealing with the remains of Ganondorf's followers and malice and gloom. Maybe since Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are believed to be in a new continuity for the Zelda series, maybe this is the new version of Demise's curse. Anyway guys, that's a lot. What do you all think? Man, this was a hard theory to write and organize, but I was happy to do it. Thank you all for watching. And happy 1 year anniversary to Tears of the Kingdom. I should be releasing this video around that time. So please check out my recent theories on Zelda and Sonia communicating to the future, the Light Dragon's paradox, and even older theories that could still apply for a Breath of the Wild 3 or Age of Calamity sequel, like Suga returning, Zelda's mother theories, and more. I even started streaming every Thursday 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Guys, if any of you like any of this, please subscribe and share with your friends. But honestly, I'd be grateful for just a view, and a like is nice too. Anyway guys, take care, God bless, peace out. This was Skylink Theory providing you with Zelda goodness.